From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
The toast is toast and the butter is butter, and I'm here, you're here, and it's a big morning of early mornings LA. The fourth stimulus check, the monthly stimulus check, is heating up as the president has a series of bipartisan meetings yesterday, more this week and later this week climate. But were these meetings actually fruitful, or were they merely for optics? I analyze it with a series of new videos from the White House. Also making news, Coca-Cola. What did it do with corporate earnings, and what does this mean for fourth stimulus, and what's happening across the board? Also, what's surprising is the series of videos the White House continues to roll out about fourth stimulus. Whether it's this one, or whether it's this one, or whether it's this one, or that one. The president wants you to know that infrastructure is great, and it's great for the American economy to revise our infrastructure. No difficulty about that message, so what's the reason of the videos? In this video, I analyze for you why the push needs to go very fast, very strong, and very loud to get fourth stimulus to reconciliation, because we're approaching a 2-month start deadline. The bill would be called for a vote in July. It means we're 2 months away from that, and away we go. In this recording, I analyze all the detail and also what happened on Wall Street yesterday. I also go over the student loan debt forgiveness, the big developing details about business grants, and also that $6,000 that Ron Wyden wants you to have for stimulus. It's a big morning across the land and across the country. I'm so excited you're here to join me as we get underway with our latest details on Early Mornings LA. Ruin. And I'm so excited you are here. You just didn't bring any bacon. How are you? It's a big Tuesday morning, and I'm so excited you to join me on Early Mornings LA. In this video, I'll be going over all those details. Fourth stimulus negotiations, recurring stimulus checks, those monthly stimulus checks, who gets them, when, how much, where the push is, what's going on for reconciliation, what are these provisions the president wants to have. I'll also be going over the student loan debt forgiveness, the business grants, what's going on with those mortgage payments that aren't landing in some states. And I'll also be going over the incredible great details from Ron Wyden and more. It's a great morning. I'm so excited you're here. Make sure you subscribe. We're approaching our 1-year anniversary, April 25th. 1 year, trying to get to 400,000 subscribers, so give us a subscribe. Also, like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Let's start with the big news. The big news is that this is starting to become late April, and we're just on the cusp of the start of May. What does that mean for fourth stimulus? It means we're starting to push up on the 2-month start date to do a reconciliation. What is a reconciliation? A reconciliation is what they did with the third stimulus package, where it goes through 2 steps. House, Senate, President, House, Senate, President again. It takes 2 months to do it. And Leader Schumer, Speaker Pelosi have made very clear the vote on the fourth stimulus package would be by July 4th. Well, 2 months from then is approaching the finish line now. So they need to start the reconciliation in the next few days. So what's the president doing? The president's making his last push for bipartisan relief. Now, here's what you need to know. Is that the Republicans are not going to give you stimulus checks. They've made that clear. The president's not going to put stimulus checks in there per se. It's rather the senators, House members and Democrats, and also, House members and senators who are going to give you those stimulus checks. And they put them in there by reconciliation. You want reconciliation. You don't want bipartisanship because, ironically, it's not going to give you a stimulus check. How are the plans different and how much money is at stake? Let's look at the details. First, the House members would give you a stimulus check every month, but how many months? It could be upwards of at least 18 months. They want to give you a stimulus check for every month still for the pandemic until it's over, and then a year after that. That could be about 18 months of checks. Senators, however, want to give you less months of checks from now to December. Who are the people at play? Well, the House members are progressives. They're more younger members of Senate. of the House. The senators are elder statesmen. They are the movers and shakers. They define the Democratic caucus policies. And then there is the monthly amount. The House members propose $2,000 the first month and $1,000 thereafter. Senators haven't said the monthly amount, but word on the street is it would be a lot more. Word on the street is the senators would pay you upwards of $2,000 a month or $1,400 a month. It would pay you less, but quicker. Let's look at these graphics. They went from July to December, that's 6 months of checks. $2,000 a month is $12,000, or $1,400 a month is $8,400, compared to the House proposal, which could be 18 months at $1,000 or $18,000. Again, House members, it would take 18 months to get $18,000. Senators would take only 6 months to get $12,000. Those were the numbers they went to. Who gets this stimulus check? You do. If you make less than $75,000, you do. Household, up to 4. Again, the amounts of the checks I just showed is per person, so the household would have 4 of those checks. And if you're on SSI or SSDI, this would be for you as well. Here's what you also need to know. Stimulus checks are not taxable events, so it does not trigger any change for your benefits. They are not a taxable instrument. So if you're on SSI or SSDI, you want this. This would be the single biggest payout ever for this channel. It would be bigger than the $2,400 of SSI and SSDI. It would be bigger than FPUC Retro, and it would be bigger than Hazard Pay. Now, so what's the president doing? I mean, this sounds so logical, it sounds so obvious. And why is he just not starting the reconciliation process? Well, yesterday, we got a series of conflicting, again, comments from the press secretary that are just really all over the place. Since Friday, the press secretary said she has not heard counterproposals from the Republicans. Then she said she has heard counterproposals from the Republicans. She said we are not open to splitting the bill into different parts, and then we are open to splitting the bill into different parts. She has said that the president is not open to taking out climate, but that the president is open to negotiations. Here's where we are. This is what you need to know. This is actually truthfully where we are. The GOP's position has been unchanged for nearly 3 weeks. And yesterday, the GOP members said much the same. They're not going to do a $2 trillion price tag the president has proposed, and they kill the deal at climate. The climate provision must be removed. They're not going to give 1 penny for climate. They'll give money for roads and bridges and infrastructure, but they're not doing climate. And they're demanding that the roads and bridges, the infrastructure part of the bill, must be $600 to $800 billion. If that sounds sort of obvious, it should. So what's the president doing? Viewers of this channel yesterday were asked that question by me, and they all universally said, it's just optics. It's just optics. He's trying to make it look like he's being bipartisan, and he's not. He's made very clear, I need money for climate. Republicans said, we're not giving you money for climate. And he says, but I'm willing to negotiate. They said, we're not. We're not giving you any money for climate. They said the same thing yesterday. They said the same thing over the previous weeks. Yesterday, Representative John Cornyn, representative of Texas, said the core infrastructure bill we could pass, roads, bridges, and digital divide in the country. I think we can agree upon that, and just that. And that question was asked of the press secretary yesterday. She said, we're open to suggestions, but we're not willing to do nothing on any provision. But he just said, I'm not going to do climate. So why are you open to hearing something where he says, I'm not doing it? It's just not responsive. And then we had Shelley Moore Capito, who said she's willing to take out climate. The president's not. And she would take the infrastructure part of the president's bill, which he says is, he's not going to negotiate on how big it is. And she says, I'm going to shrink it to $600 billion. Oh, wow. The president says he's not going to do that either. And then we had the president say, I'm optimistic. Well, yeah, as Nancy Pelosi used to say back in the day, it's imminent. Now, what is the president also doing later this week? The timing is perfect. On Thursday and Friday, guess what he's having? A climate conference. Yeah. So a climate conference to reassure the American people that climate is his top priority, and it will be his top priority in the fourth stimulus package. He's not taking out climate. So during the exchanges of the press secretary yesterday, she was asked, well, what about all these counter proposals? Let's listen into what she said during that exchange yesterday. And if it gives clarity or makes the situation even more confusing about where the push to reconciliation is. Let's listen in.
messengers, and that's why a huge amount of our $3 billion in funding is focused on empowering and funding local messengers, whether it's doctors or clergy or local civic leaders, because we know they are the most effective in conveying the efficacy of these vaccines.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hey, Jen, just a couple on the jobs bill and the climate summit. Senator Cornyn and Senator Kean spoke about the possibility for a smaller, narrower infrastructure bill in the range of $800 billion. Does the president?
So let me recap what he said, because he's wearing a mask. It's sort of hard to hear what he said. He said Cornyn, and that was the quote I gave you early in this recording. He said Cornyn, Republican out of Texas, said, "I will do roads, bridges, and broadband. That we can do, and we'll just do that." And then Coons, who on Friday said he would take the bill and split it and just do the $600 to $800 billion. These were the two questions that the reporter asked in this exchange with the press secretary. Let's listen to her response of that.
See that as a viable alternative to what he's proposed? And then how does he view this idea that there might be an opportunity to get some kind of bipartisan agreement on infrastructure before you move on to the care economy? That if you could do it in the near term, as Senator Kean suggested, that that'd be the way to go.
Well, there are a range of ideas and proposals out there. Some Senator Kean, Senator Manchin, some Republican senators, and some Democrats.
Here so far, the press secretary is being inconsistent with her message on Friday when she said she had not seen a counterproposal for the Republicans. Now she says she has seen a range of proposals. Let's listen in more.
Maybe more on the progressive wing of the party as well. And our objective at this point in time is to hear and listen to all of those and to determine.
Now, viewers yesterday said it's been enough time to hear and listen. It's been almost 4 weeks of hearing and listening. At what point is it time for the president to move on? What do you think? Drop in the comments if you're live chatting right now. Is it time to move on and do recon right now, or to hear and listen day after day further? Drop in your comments. I'd love to see your comments.
Determine what the path forward may look like in coordination and cooperation. The president's bottom line here is that the only thing we cannot do is fail to invest in our nation's infrastructure, rebuild our economy, and create millions of jobs. That's the only piece he does not want to see us fail to do as a country, and fail to do as hopefully in a bipartisan manner, ideally. But in terms of the ideas being put forward, we're quite open to a range of mechanisms for agreed upon legislation moving forward. Smaller packages, pieces being peeled off.
Here she says the president was willing to peel off parts of the fourth stimulus package, a statement she said on Friday the president would not do.
Right now, there's the nitty-gritty work going on in Congress where...
And this is where the exchange gets very peculiar. The president, in the video you're about to see right after this, says he's doing the negotiations, but now she says members of Congress are doing negotiations among themselves. No one's actually seen this happen. Let's listen to what she says.
Members are meeting, staffs are meeting, committee staff are meeting to discuss what's possible, where there's agreement. We welcome that. But, in terms of what the package or size looks like, we're just not quite there yet.
And that line certainly troubled viewers yesterday. When she said, as to the size of the package, we're just not there yet, viewers said, what do you mean we're not there yet? It's time to be there. It's time to get this done. And if it's not clear before, it's clear today. May 5th is about the time in which they got to start a reconciliation process. It takes about 2 months to do a reconciliation, even on a rushed basis. 2 months is coming up in just a few days. So they need to know what they want to do. But do they know what they want to do? Yesterday, a new political report detailed that perhaps the White House has not even determined what they want to do yet. And that the report says that the White House has not even singled in where they want to fund the bill. The report says that the administration's concerned about demonstrating that they're going to pay for some of it, not that they're paying for all of it. And that the White House has not determined, one, what type of taxes are involved to even pay for it. While you and I have heard about corporate taxes, the political report says the White House has not even made a determination what else is going to be used, because corporate taxes is not enough to pay for even a part of the bill. Would there include a raise of the top marginal tax bracket to 39.6%, says the Political Report? That's apparently being considered. Also, taxing the capital gains as ordinary income, eliminating the step-up basis at death, a provision known as the angel of death, and also other types of taxes. Have they not decided on this? It's time to sort of decide on stuff. Viewers yesterday were asked, when should they decide on stuff? And viewers universally said, 2 weeks ago. Let's listen into more what the press secretary said about how the president's still hearing things from different people. Let's hear what else she had to say.
On the climate summit, I know you don't want to get ahead of the decision on emissions targets for 2030, but broadly, how is the administration thinking about striking the balance between
Meantime, later in the day, the president held a press briefing. A media opportunity, I guess you would say. It was not a Q&A, in which he invited leaders to the White House to negotiate. This is a video of his negotiations. Now, who is in the video? Underneath the graphic of LALATE, a white hair is Janet Yellen, your Treasury Secretary. That's part of his cabinet. And to his right is Mayor Pete. That's part of his cabinet. We see 1, 2, 3, 4 people on sofas, 2 on the left and 2 on the right. So he brought 4 people to negotiate the 4th stimulus package. Is this the magnitude of his negotiations, or is this just optics? Let's listen in.
I want to thank my colleagues. They're still my colleagues. I'm more of a member of Congress than I've been here, but I'm glad you all came down. We're going to talk about our infrastructure package, and as I indicated earlier, I am prepared to compromise, prepared to see what we can do and what we can get together on. It's a big package, but there's a lot of needs, and so we're going to be talking about, number one, what should be included in the package. Obviously, I put a lot in the package. I think it all should be included, and how to pay for it. And there are 2 issues. I've noticed everybody's for infrastructure. The question is, who's going to pay for it? And that's what we're going to try to work out today, at least in this bipartisan group of members of the House and Senate. And a little secret here, full disclosure. I asked senators and congressmen who had either been governors or mayors, because they know what it's like to make things work, to make sure that you get things done and deal with infrastructure and the needs of your community. So that's why we're here. We hopefully will be able to reach some kind of consensus, at least in broad terms. So thank you all for coming in, and we'll be talking to you later.
Mr. President, what do you think about the idea of paying for it with user fees?
That's what we're going to talk about.
The question from the reporter was, what do you think about splitting it into pieces? He said that's what we're going to be talking
We're
about.
going to talk about all that right now. Thank you.
Viewers' reaction to that video yesterday was quite interesting. When asked why there's only 4 people in the room to negotiate the magnitude of a $2 trillion bill, 4 people to negotiate, is this just optics? Viewers said yes. Viewers didn't really think that this is real, actual negotiations. It's trying to look like negotiations. The president has rolled out every day nearly 2 videos talking about the 4th stimulus package and negotiations, but not really showing substantive negotiations. Here's what you need to know. You need to push purple power, because this bill needs to go by reconciliation. You and I know that Leader Schumer and Speaker Pelosi are not going to run their timelines. They know they got to get this to a vote by July. They know they go on vacation to September. They also know that they got to start this reconciliation now, because it's a 2-step process and it takes 2 months. But here's what you and I also need to know as a family. In July of last year, these congressional leaders did not take care of Americans. They went on vacation. They went on vacation in July and they came back in September. They only came back once to chase the postman around with that Carolyn Maloney standalone bill for the postman. They don't do a lot of work between July and September. So you want this bill to a vote in June, if not the first week of July. You don't want to risk it. And by risking it, you want to start the reconciliation now. Whether it's the Political Report that says the president hasn't decided how much, what he wants to do for taxes, Or the questions from the press secretary says the president's still considering a range of options. Here's what you need to know. President doesn't write the bill. He doesn't write the bill. The House members write the bill. First step is a reconciliation. Step one is a procedural bill. House, Senate, sign of the president. Just says they agree to do a reconciliation. The tow truck has passed over the finish line at that point. Then the tow truck goes back to pick up the tow hitch. If the president has agreed upon what's on that tow hitch right now, let's keep on going, folks, because it's time for the Senate, the House members to figure out what is going to be on that tow hitch, whether it's Representative Neal, the head of Ways and Means, that determines what are going to be the taxes and how they're going to be taxed and what they're going to be taxed. Let him decide. Let's get going. You got to get going, because ultimately, if you don't get this done in that House and then the Senate and to the president by July, September's just around the corner. So push, Purple Power. You can push. And ultimately, the big push is underway because Americans really see that this is not going by bipartisanship. The Republicans want to reduce it off of its $2 trillion benchmark. They want to remove the climate, and that the president's not going to do $600 to $800 billion. The president yesterday released another video to tell us how good infrastructure is, but we got how good infrastructure is. I'll show you that video coming up, and then the president has a new video also out about how we remain safe. But here's what you need to know as you go into the commercial break. This stimulus check would be the single biggest payout for any viewer of this channel that I have ever covered. It's if you make less than $75,000, this is you. A household of 4 or less, this is you. If you're on SSI or SSDI, this is you. And when we look at the payouts, we also have to look at the date. That date of July is critical. Ultimately, every month they don't get this done, it costs you a stimulus check. But more importantly, you want this bill finalized to a vote, done in July, so that stimulus checks go out in July and to December. You don't want this to roll on. You don't want us to keep on going. I'll be back after the commercial break with big updates about student loan debt forgiveness, EIDL grant and business grants, also the $1,700 of financial aid for college students, new details about mortgage and mortgage assistance, and also new video from the White House. Stay with me as Early Mornings LA continues right after this commercial break. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues here on Mornings LALATE today. Join me on Mornings LA just a couple hours away at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Our new programming lineup has a new show every 2 hours. It's easy breezy. Every 2 hours, another show. From mornings, then to noon at 2 p.m., then afternoons, 2 hours thereafter. Thank you for joining me on Early Mornings LA. How are you? The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here, and if you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also, like this video, and if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Student loan debt forgiveness was supposed to be forgiven last week. It was supposed to have a memo from Miguel Cardona, your head of education, your education secretary. The president had ordered him to prepare that memo within 2 weeks, that's last Friday, about whether the president can forgive student loan debt by executive order. Guess what? Where do you see the memo? Don't know where it is. don't know what happened to the memo. So we're all looking for the memo. And we're waiting to see what the memo says. Remember, Elizabeth Warren said the president can't forgive it because Obama did it and Trump did it. Meantime, the rent and utilities and food and internet and mortgage assistance and property owner assistance and things like that were covered in the commercial break, a new shocking report out that says second stimulus that's supposed to provide that to the states has still not landed in some states like Florida. What's going on? We really don't know. But the third stimulus for that money is landing in May, so that's really good news. Then SBA is just doing its scarf dance again. The shuttered venue grant, which is for venues that are shuttered, has been shuttered. The grant is shuttered. It's shuttered like the shutter name of the shutter. So that grant has still not opened. It was open for a second and then shuttered. Not particularly clear what's going on. Also, the EIDL grant of $5,000 that was supposed to be open for new applicants has not gone live. The $10,000 EIDL grant from last year is now starting to pay out. People who applied for that increase in February are stuck in a vortex. Sound like 2020 again? It is. And then, of course, the PPP grant has been extended finally by executive order. The president did not get into his third stimulus package bill a provision to get a grant to start a new business. Also happening is that $1,700 of financial aid that's landing at your college. So reach out to your college advisor. And then that $3,600 for children 5 to newborn and $30,000 for children 17 to 6. That starts in July per month, either $300 or $250 a month. Now, if you have a child and you don't think IRS knows about it, let's say you're on SSI and you don't file tax returns, IRS has yet to give that advisory about how to update them about it. Let's watch for that. Also, pending is still the advisory about how to fix the $10,200 for people who haven't filed tax return. We're waiting for that. But the refund checks, if you have filed a tax return and did pay on that unemployment, those are coming in May. More about that, more about fourth stimulus coming up in a second. But boy, yesterday we had a big Slurpee surprise. As Coca-Cola beat on earnings, not a big major beat, but the big surprise for viewers of this channel was Coca-Cola for the first time in many years announced it's raising the price of its beverages. OMG, here we go. Raising the price of its beverages for the first time in many years. Meantime, also making news is IBM reported earnings yesterday, and it reported growth after 4 quarters of declines. Earnings came in at 1.77 a share compared to 1.763, and revenues came in at exactly as anticipated. So it was a beat. It shows a continued growth of this economy. Meantime, crypto and Wall Street remained relatively flat yesterday. We're going to see more corporate earnings today that could really gauge where we're going. Today, we're going to see Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, and Netflix report earnings across the board. Over the weekend, Bitcoin and Ethereum took a big tumble. Meantime, the president released a new video from his vice president yesterday talking about the purpose of fourth stimulus. Let's listen into that video in which he talks about the virtues of an infrastructure bill.
Job. In the 21st century, in America, I believe you should not have to work more than one job to be able to pay your bills and feed your family. One good job should be enough. At a good job, you shouldn't have to worry about your safety. You shouldn't have to worry about whether you have the ability to get a good life because you might have to go in debt for a diploma that promises a decent paycheck. It's pretty simple. A good job.
Interesting line of argument there, considering we're waiting for the president to forgive student loan debt. Did not catch that before. Meantime, the president released a new video yesterday encouraging Americans to go get vaccinated because all adults can now get vaccinated in the United States.
Folks, I have good news. Everybody is eligible as of today to get the vaccine. We have enough of it. You need to be protected, and you need in turn to protect your neighbors and your family. So please, get the vaccine.
And with that, there we are. Throughout today, we're going to see more push for forced stimulus. It has now become a broadcast front page news article, the number one most searched story on financial news. Broadcast media has been watching this channel and seeing how I have been on point about forced stimulus hour after hour for weeks. Everyone left this subject matter, went off and covered something else. I stayed on point, and guess what? Now broadcast media is running the same narrative. Senators want to give you monthly stimulus checks. House members want to give you monthly stimulus checks. They're running that story, and their viewers want to hear about it as well. Again, that's broadcast media. So push Purple Power. Push, push, push. Hashtag MSC. Hashtag Purple Power. You want to share this video on social media. Tell your friends and neighbors to become subscribers because you want the president to do this by reconciliation. We're not at the deadline yet, but we're sort of starting to push up on that 2-month period. You want this to start recon as soon as possible. Yeah, he's tried his bipartisan negotiations or chats or 4 people in a room, but it's time to start recon. Recon is where we get to the finish line, and that's where we land in a positive environment. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also like this video. Let's try to do 2,000-3,000 likes and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. I'll see you back on Mornings LA with more videos and the latest breaking details across the board. And I'm so excited you're here. I just wish you had brought some bacon. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful morning, and I'll see you more as Mornings LA kicks up its feet after we see a little bit more buttering, a little bit more coffee, and a little bit more toasting. I'll look forward to seeing you later on Mornings LA.